expanding the activity. I was expanding the range of 24 Justice. Then the pandemic hit, then came back. Then I got this wonderful opportunity to promote MMA. And I've, alhamdulillah, the whole league situation, believe it or not, I actually wrote the constitution as well of the federation. And alhamdulillah, actually, you know what, it's not too bad. And now the thing is, like, I got a really good opportunity with Abu Dhabi. It's a franchise, it's called Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro. And right now we're in the process of organizing their event. There's a lot of scope. The thing is, right, you know what Pakistan's MMA scene and the fight game and everything, it's a developing story with MMA. And I feel like this is the right time to set up a franchise, like set up my own league. Not a league per se, more like an event, regular event. So UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, right? Fight Force wants to be a bit different. We want to go down the route of, we want to display kickboxing, grappling, and MMA. Mixed martial arts. So essentially, right, MMA is like the PhD of combat sports. So you have your basics, learning one really well, it's taekwondo, whether it's judo, whether it's karate, it doesn't matter, right? Then you've got one striking and one grappling. So striking is pretty much, it is what it sounds like, standing, the stand-up game, punches, kicks, elbows, knees, if you're that way inclined. And then you've got grappling. You've got again, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. So once you have an idea of both of these concepts and you can exercise them and you have a good handle on them, then you go into MMA. You can't go into MMA just learning one sport. So that's why it's the PhD of combat sports. And the thing is,
could you explain who are your best fighters for grappling and who are your best fighters for kickboxing? What sort of a diverse talent do we have in Pakistan?
Believe it or not, you have the best of both worlds. You see, recently the Chief of Army Staff did the Taekwondo event.
That's good.
They did a Taekwondo event in Islamabad, and we have a very active judo and jiu-jitsu element here. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, my hat's off to, I'm sure you know him, Jazzy Lone. Jazzy Lone is like probably one of the best practitioners of jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's young, he's got energy, he's knowledgeable, really good guy. You know him, right? And we have the UFC gym here. They have like a couple of black belts, the actual black belts of BJJ, which is something Pakistan really needed. And they're from Brazil. Though they're great guys. When we have a very good boxing background, we have a very good kickboxing background. So in Pakistan, this is the ideal ground to promote and grow MMA.
I'm sure what all our viewers would want to know by now, okay, do these fighters stand a chance in the international ring?
Yeah,
if you're fighting the good guys, like now we're going for the Khabibs and the McGregors.
We are like 4 or 5 years behind. We've got guys going into 1FC, winning in 1FC from Pakistan.
I've seen some of those matches.
They're good. We've got some good fighters going into Pakistan and into 1FC, but UFC is a different ball game in the sense that it's the biggest promotion in the world, and they have a lot of. Not everybody can make it to UFC. It's very hard. I'm forgetting the name of the fighter. There's one fighter. He was an American guy. Dan Gable, I think. I'm not sure. We'll Google it, and if it's right, we'll keep it in. If not, we'll edit it. Right? And he was tweeted Dana White, and he said, "Look, I want to go into the UFC." He is an Olympian wrestler wanting to go into UFC. Dana was like, "No, first do this." Do this circuit, then come into the championships. So it's not an easy cut. But I've been following MMA for many years. I've been very active in MMA. I have a lot going with regards to the accolades I hold, whether it's the number of events I've managed, whether it's the number of fights, whether it's even the concept of a league. 'Cause that's the thing I conceptualized. So alhamdulillah, yeah. And I figured now I just wanted the opportunity of AJP was huge. There's no doubt about it, you know. And AJP just couldn't live anywhere else but a major city. Okay? So I wanted to make sure that it got to Karachi, it got to Islamabad, it got to Lahore, it goes to Peshawar, it goes to Faisalabad, Multan, rather than it being isolated. And then I thought, you know what? Hand in hand, Fight Force. And Fight Force, I'm hoping, inshallah, that we have our first event by the end of this month.
Got some interesting fights?
We have 37. The average event has 12 fights. 10 to 12. We have 37. Because we want to make a statement. Okay?
To the world.
To the world that we're here to stay. You know, we're not.
Got some good fighters.
Well, here's the thing. We are a league. You gotta understand there's a difference between a club and a league. So a club they have their own fighters. Okay? A league is open to every fighter. They are looking for it is a talent hunt. Okay? The championship belt is always going to be changing. Number one's always going to be a different person. There's always going to be some evolution in the fight game. Because MMA has autonomy. MMA, jaan ko nazar aata na, they need to put a new rule in. They'll put a new rule in. They'll change the rules. You know, it's not like bound to any parameters that have been passed on from generation to generation. Oh my God, what's Zeus gonna say? The Grecos used to do this. You know, nothing like that at all. It changes and it varies. And because for example, they used to have a super heavyweight division. You'd have like these big 140, 150 kg monsters fighting. Now they have a maximum, so you can't weigh over 120 kgs.
Explain to me more of your weight classes. Which guys do you have in which weight classes? And at first, I remember watching a UFC documentary. In the first event, they had this huge guy fighting the small guy because they didn't have any weight class. So how, when organizing an event like this, how do you, for a layman, for any fight enthusiast, if a person like me wants to do an event like this, how do you make this event happen?
Yeah, but again, I wish I knew that I was gonna be coming on this podcast, right? But Alhamdulillah, I have enough to explain. So, this UFC started off around 1990s. Okay? The whole concept of two people fighting was very inhumane, and to some degree, those fights were. Okay? Somebody who weighs 60 kg, you know, is only gonna have so much when it comes to impact of a punch or a kick. He can be nimble, he has good cardio, he can gas the other person out. Somebody who has 110 kgs behind him and he throws a punch, or he gets on top of the other guy. The 60 kg guy is on the ground, the 110 kgs are on top. You know, you're literally putting him under a mountain. What can you expect him to do? He can't create miracles. Ab main aapko batata hu. The whole weight categories thing of ONE FC or UFC, it doesn't suit Pakistan. That is my personal opinion. Yahan pe aise bhi bande hain, they are walking at 40 kgs. Funnily enough, there's a guy in MMA and he himself weighs 40 kgs.
40 kgs?
40 kgs.
How is he like?
I have shits bigger than him, right? 40 kg, what the fuck? What's 40 kg?
Well, is he a good fighter?
Bro, I have personally can't say that he is because I've never seen him. Based on his knowledge of MMA, I would say he isn't. Although I would say he's a good teacher, but I wouldn't say like to promote MMA. I probably wouldn't say he's the best person or as a fighter. I would say, yes, there are some people who can be good teachers but not good fighters.
I know.
What's the name of that guy? Freddie Roach?
Freddie Roach. And there's this other guy, Joe Rogan's friend, Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo was really good.
But he's now coaching. First he was.
But he was a good fighter. Eddie Bravo, he beat one of the Gracies, didn't he? He did. He beat one of the Gracies in grappling. So Eddie Bravo is probably a really good example of a great fighter becoming a great teacher. But I would say Freddie Roach is an example of someone who wasn't perhaps the best fighter in the circuit, but because he spent time understanding the theory and the science behind fighting, now he's the best coach. If somebody does a training camp in the professional leagues, they're going to go for somebody like Freddie Roach. So this gentleman in question who weighs 40 kgs and cannot fight in his own league because his league doesn't, that's the problem. हम लोग इतना पागल हैं. हम कहते हैं यार ये गोरा का हम ये कर लेते हैं. यार ये तो अमेरिका में. That's good for them, but it's not good for us. We need something where someone at 35, not 35, that's just that's infanticide, right? Yeah, 40, someone at 40 kgs can compete. Anyone who competes at 40 can gain weight to come at 45 if he really wants to. You get or 50 or 55, etc. Right? Pakistan doesn't have that many heavyweights. That is an issue. Because we can, this is more down to diet and is more down to genetics. People generally down the Southern Asian continent aren't as tall, but we are the 6th most populous country in the world. So if you're going to get the odd one in a million, we got 60 of them, you know? Sorry, 200 of them. 200
like
million.
A big probability, like we got like a big population.
200 million. So
Big
if let's say love comes once, 1 in a million, you got 200 lovers in Pakistan, man. Statistically speaking. Imran Khan said that. I didn't say that. Yeah, no, he's the guy that makes the stats. What's that guy's name? The Minister of Information. That's what he says, because that's his stats. 200 million.
I know the guy.
Fawad Chaudhry.
Fawad
Chaudhry.
We love you.
200 people. So
coming back, so what's like, what weight categories do you have? Do you have like some heavyweights fighting with some
I'll tell you.
featherweights and
No. So if somebody doesn't make weight, they usually get penalized on their prize. They get docked X percentage. Then you have something called catch weight. So catch weight is when I know that me and you have a weight difference and I accept it. So I agree. Otherwise, one belt is for each weight division. And as you know, MMA is more... It's more the glare, less the focus. It's more everything that happens around and less of what's actually happening. So, Khabib, everybody knows who he is. Why do we know who he is? Did we know who he was when he started off in Russia?
Smash your boy.
No. Why? Because of the promotion behind it. There was drama, there was storytelling.
The UFC promotion is like this big engine, which has many faces, television, pay-per-view, and then there's Facebook, Instagram, and then a lot of things happening over there.
In Pakistan, you are lucky to get even your bus fare to cover. And that's if you're not asked to bring a packed lunch. You're expected to walk from Karachi to Lahore, turn up in the hope that you actually get the fight. You get the fight, you're promised the ocean, you're promised the 7 seas, you're promised everything. Ke chalo yaar tum fight karo, main tumko itna bada banaunga. That guy, wo khud hi bada nahi hai, na wo kisne kisi ko bada kiya hai. So there is a lot of drama. I'll tell you something that happened in the MMA world. We have actually organized a fight, right? We, so where I was working before, there was a lot of animosity between the existing MMA world and, you know, where I was, where I'd set up the league, right? And what happened was they stopped playing in their events and, you know, they wouldn't let their fighters play in their event. They just blacked them out. And I thought to myself,
this is not good for the sport.
It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the teams. You've got, and the funny thing is, you've got these two alliances. You got this federation and then this federation. None of them are registered. Like, they don't work with the sports board. They work independently. Ek federation hota hai jo register hai sports board ke saath. None of these two are registered. And you now have this one, the first federation, which was made by where I was working because I gave them the constitution, obviously, right? And then they had this second federation who made a federation because of the first federation. And there's this iconic quote. This guy went onto a podcast. He goes, "Pura Pakistan mein, pura dunya mein koi federation nahi hai." And then someone wrote underneath, I think this IMMAF, it literally stands for International Mixed Martial Arts Federation.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And here's the thing. The whole reason why they're pissed is because they want their federation to be registered there instead of somebody else's. Somebody else got the registration, and they'll end up, and like, you know, this is the thing. These guys affected 6 people's careers. 6 बंदे हम लेके जा रहे थे खेलने के लिए. उन्हें वेट करने के लिए वो आ रहे थे. They were just होता ना वजन लेते पहले events. Oh, you can't play. Have you seen Mean Girls? You can't sit here. It was one of those.
That is bad for the sport.
And why do you? And do you know why they made that federation? so that other people don't experience that. It's literally the dictionary definition of hypocrisy. They're like, oh, these people, ये जो बूढ़े बाबे हैं, ठीक है ना, ये बूढ़े बाबे और किसी को खेलने नहीं देते, ये बूढ़े बाबे अपना, और वो क्या करते हैं, वही बाबे हैं, वो बूढ़े नहीं हुए अभी तक, ये वही बाबे हैं. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to do something different. And the funny thing is, the event that we are planning in December, like this at the end of this month, okay? Those guys who rejected my guys when I was there, I'm letting their guys play in our event.
That's very big of you.
It's not. Because here's the thing. I want, if only we kept our grudges and our animosities directly with the people who were, like, if they had an issue with, say, me, then they could approach me. I mean, they're representing MMA. I'm sure they won't have an issue coming to me or picking up the phone. Instead, they went and did this thing where they've affected 6 fighters. And now, Pakistan में पहले ही मौके कम है. ठीक है? There's very few opportunities to play. Tell me something. When you're in your prime, what do you need? You need opportunities. You need opportunities to train. You need opportunities to fight. Opportunities to, when you go and fight, your video is going to be recorded. ठीक है? People are going to know who you are. अब घर बैठ के तो नहीं बन सकता ना. Conor McGregor कितने fights किए हैं? He was fighting in Cage Warriors. उसकी Cage Warrior में उसकी history था. He used to be a plumber. Did you know this? He used to be on the dole. He was getting benefits, state benefits.
Yes, that was a thing with Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor went from state benefits to one of the richest men in sports according to Forbes. Why? He had opportunities. So even if those fighters don't get paid, like I was the person, when I worked in the previous company I was in, I was the person who started the whole, obviously with the sponsors, no doubt. Sponsors had the best idea. Those sponsors are amazing, by the way. I questioned other things, but the guys that own it and the top level, amazing.
Guys, you're going to be at our event. We'll provide the description, the date, the timing in the link below. And it's going to be a great event. I'm going to be personally there.
You have to be there. I want you to be a media partner.
Thank you, brother.
And I want you to follow the journey. And then I want you to tell me how many Conor McGregors are in Lahore, let alone Pakistan.
Yes, we want to do this thing, and we will have this journey in which we'll have these different fighters, and we'll go to them, explore what their passions are, how do they feel about fighting, how many matches, what's their biggest defeat, what's their biggest win, and things like that. And we want to know, we want to give exposure to the world that we have great players as well. And some of these guys, I hope, like 2 years, 3 years down the line, can become very big.
Inshallah.
And inshallah compete in the world.
They can be big overnight. But if you have like 20-30 fights, and a matchmaker sees you, or वो YouTube पे जाके, Facebook पे जाके, he sees your fights, that's all you need. आजकल के ज़माने में क्या नहीं हो सकता? Remember Danania? She made a 10-second video, now she's got 1.6 million followers on Insta. And she's living proof. Yeah, if you're willing to do it, and people give women a hard time in Pakistan. मुझे समझ में नहीं आता. वो घर बैठे होती है, वो कहते हैं यार तुम शादी करो. तो शादी करके बदकिस्मती के साथ या अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो डिवोर्स होके वापस आ जाती. हाय ये तो डिवोर्स थे यार, तुम पहले नहीं कहते इसको शादी करने के लिए, वो सुकून से बैठी हुई थी. बस समझो ना, पाकिस्तान इज फुल ऑफ दिस. मैं बताता हूँ, यहाँ पे कुत्ता चल रहा है ना, कोई बंदा उसको जाके खिलाया, आपने कभी देखा है? वो ऐसे शू ये करते हैं. बकरीद पे यार वो बकरा को याद क्या है, तुम इतने प्यार, मतलब वो जानवर से प्यार नहीं करते हैं. उस दिन को भाई को दिखाने के लिए, पड़ोसी को दिखाने, ऊँट मैं वो जो जानवर रेगिस्तान में वो या सड़क की पेमेंट पे लगा लेते हैं जहाँ सड़क ही टूटा हुआ है. सड़क टूटा हुआ है, ठीक है भाई, वहाँ पे होते हैं रेगिस्तान की जानवर लेके सड़क पे रखी है. क्यों? हाय सब लोग मुझे देखे. अच्छा अगला साल अगर वही ऊँट बकरा बन जाए ना, उनकी इतना बेइज्जती हो जाती है. नहीं हम इस साल सिंपल कर. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है, इन पाकिस्तान पीपल लूज फेस. हाउ डू आई से? आई एम ट्राइंग टू थिंक ऑफ एन एक्सप्लेनेशन. When I came to Pakistan, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he had like an enterprising business, so he'd help startups. Okay? And I was like, you know, what kind of advice do you give to anybody going to Pakistan? He goes, listen, don't say no. What do you mean? No. Don't say no. You can't say the word no. You say it's difficult. Mushkil hai. You don't say no.
That's a good advice.
I was like, why don't you? And bearing in mind, I was in England at the time. ठीक है, हम लोग जो रिश्तेदारों से मिलते थे, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, ईद मुबारक या इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन, बड़ा अफसोस है. बस यही 3 वक्त हम किसी से बात करते थे स्काइप पे. ठीक है, ये चीजें मुझे पता था. उसके बाद my Urdu, you think my Urdu's bad? You haven't heard my Punjabi, man. It's the worst. It is.
So maybe in the next podcast or on the fight night, we're going to hear some of his Punjabi. That's going to be a special...
It's so bad. It's so bad that there was a girl from Lahore Rang. There's a program called Fatafat. And the host remembers me by face. And she goes, okay, I'm going to give you a sentence, say it in Punjabi. Right?
Too much.
Yaar, pata kya baat hai? Here, if we promote sports in Pakistan, number one, prize fighting is what we need. The biggest issue in Pakistan is that the opportunities aren't there, and when they are there, people don't pay. There are so many of these organizations in Pakistan. I can only call them organizations, I can't call them anything else, right? They will hold a fight, they will accept payment from one individual, the sponsor in some cases, to give the money to the fighter, but the fighter will never get the money. Okay? And it's interesting when you see the dynamics. वो एक तरह से अपना वो रोना करते हैं, हाय हम मर गए, government कुछ कर नहीं रहा. Then when the government does do something, हाय मैं मर गए, government कुछ कर नहीं रहा. ठीक है ना?
Amazing people, bunch of amazing people we are.
And they will fight over everything. They fight over free t-shirts. They fight over, I swear to God, I kid you not. These are the free t-shirts that people give away. They will fight over this. And here's the thing, right? When you look at only a private entity can do this. मैं एक बात बताऊं, I am hell-bent and adamant. Okay, private entities run things better than government entities. ठीक है? In some circumstances, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to promotion, I feel like the government doesn't really need to. It's like a grave. वो होता ना, like पाकिस्तान में I know वो करते कोई और तरीके से. In England हमारे पास एक कफन होता है लकड़ी का. मैंने आज तक ना इश्तिहार नहीं देखा कफन का. लेकिन जब किसी को चाहिए होता ना वो पहुंच जाता है. ठीक है, इश्तिहार कोई नहीं होता. Like, oh, you know, plan your death with us. You know, none of this. You don't see on TV, but when you need it, it's there. ठीक है? So I feel like federations and government entities are like that. When you need them, you know where to get them. You know where to find them. ठीक है? But private entities know how to market themselves. They know how to show things in a different way, in a different light. And I feel like in Pakistan, aside a few handfuls, no one's actually done it properly. ठीक है? And even those few handfuls are those that have not done it consecutively. Right? Fighting Alliance is really good production. I think they kind of introduced the standards in Pakistan. उन लोगों ने standard introduce किया था. You should have a big SMD, you should have these big trussing, lighting, the video, the boom, everything like that,
party.
Right?
It's like a nightclub.
Well, the event, an MMA event is like a nightclub. मैं बताता हूँ. In Pakistan, you have the house parties, there's the farmhouse. It's like Home Alone. ठीक है? You got everything. We won't go into the itinerary, but we have a rough idea of the shopping list. ठीक है? हमको पता है वहाँ पे क्या होता है क्या नहीं होता. And it's like the same people, it's the same face, trying to do the same thing, saying the same old, story. But in a club, it's different. Like if you're in like Trafalgar Square or Leicester Square, or you're in anywhere in London, you're on Broad Street in Birmingham, you're in Liverpool, you're in Manchester, Concert Square in Liverpool. Different people. Everyone's having a good time. कोई बंदा किसी के साथ गिला या लड़ाई होते हैं. And a very extreme. लेकिन ये है कि everyone's out to have a good time. कोई बंदा किसी के साथ मिलके ना बातचीत कर सकता है. You could leave your house on your own and come back with a group of friends in England. Not in Pakistan. ठीक है? No, not in Pakistan. Like even if you meet someone, हम उसका स्कूल में नहीं गए थे. That's what they are.
That's how they are.
It's like they don't like nepotism, but they are nepotists, right? They are. You won't deal with somebody unless you know them and this and the other. And these are issues you don't face in Dubai or in Europe or in England. You can actually get to know someone because there's law and order. Here, there's no law and order. So like they have to adapt. But at the same time, they're pushing MMA. They say, right, हम MMA event कराएंगे, ठीक है? तो जो हमारे साथ है ठीक है, जो हमारे साथ नहीं है या जिसको हम पसंद नहीं करते हैं, like so they don't like that one guy, so they're going to write off the whole team.
Oh, that's pretty bad. That's
अब
pretty bad.
मैं आपको बताता हूँ
Uh-huh.
मैं क्योंकि पहले स्पॉन्सर के साथ डायरेक्ट था ना
हाँ।
and I became independent
Uh-huh.
मैं यार मैं I just want to do things my way there was a lot of issues and I thought I've got this international opportunity in one side and on the other side I'm in the middle of a village ठीक
So
है
that's a very big story. We'll go in the detail of this story. This is going to be like his personal biography. We're going to do
you're
this
going to
in-
follow our events
Ah.
you have to follow our
Ah.
events huh?
But the story of him first working for some people and doing these events. Azeem has been working for the past 8 years, and previously he was working with some other guys. They were his sponsors, and now he's doing his thing
Yeah.
on his own company.
That's
That's like his 24 Justice, his legal company, is sponsoring the events now, and there is this AGP Dubai.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi
Yeah.
based
So
company.
AGP is owned by the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and they have events all over the world. And in the next, I want you to follow this whole story, and I want you to follow up to AGP and then even further, inshallah.
What you are missing, I'll tell you what you're missing. Why you're not getting the fame and everything is celebrity fights. First, I want to know what do you think about the Jake Paul fight? Jake Paul versus who is he fighting?
Yeah, he's fighting Tyson Fury's.
Tyson Fury's brother.
Ha.
And the other guy is like Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson, who's gonna beat who? And then
That's a
we
joke.
want a celebrity fight in Pakistan.
Who do you want? Hania Amir versus.
That's gonna be.
Who do you want to fight?
Everyone's gonna be watching that fight. That's gonna be good
Yeah,
fight.
there's only one person. Do you follow YouTube?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was Sham Idris and Ducky.
Uh-huh.
Ducky. I swear to God, if I could have arranged the fight of those two, you don't have to do anything. The amount of beef they gave each other, that was so entertaining. I swear to God, TV in Pakistan is not like there leaves a lot to be desired. Do you watch like British TV?
So, some of it.
I think British comedy is in its own level. They've given so many things to the world. Mr. Bean, as you know. There's so many, like, that's the worst example, right? But there's a lot of satire, like Have I Got News For You and Mock the Week. They're really good programs. And the level of comedy, unless you start swearing in Pakistan, you're not going to get that level of comedy. At least not in satire. And Ducky and Sham Idris, if I could have, and I hopefully, if that opportunity, if you're watching, right? Leave a cage, right?
We want to beat the shit out of each other.
No, but
Ducky Bhai and Sham Idris.
Yeah, and we'll train them. One can be team Wali. I got Ducky Bhai, right?
That's going to be a big fight. But what about Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson? Who's going to beat who?
Is that really a question?
Is
that really-
I want to know.
You have Mike Tyson, a living legend, and you have look Logan.
Which round? How many rounds is it going to go?
No, I think a more accurate question is which second. Is it going to be the first, second, the third? Will Mike Tyson want to wait and do it on the 10th? Look, yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity on the rules. There's apparently, or doesn't exist. It depends if there's a disparagamous clause. They say that there's a no knockout policy, so you're not allowed to knock him out. Do you honestly think Floyd Mayweather couldn't have knocked out?
I think he did knock him out and then he grabbed him.
Why? And the thing is, Tyson doesn't
They were
even...
hugging.
And by the way, Floyd Mayweather is probably the best athlete. He's never lost. Irrespective of anything else, he never lost. Like, look, he went in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, by the way, on points, I personally believe Manny Pacquiao won. I mean, that's just the way I saw it. Floyd Mayweather, the fact that he got in there, he played defense, and he just went through. He paid the allegations. The referees.
Is Floyd Mayweather the biggest and the greatest fighter ever?
No.
Why?
Because who's he really fought in their prime? Like, of all the examples you can go through, he hasn't really fought anybody in their prime. I mean, Manny Pacquiao was way beyond his prime. Ricky Hatton was out of his prime. And Ricky Hatton actually went up a weight division to actually fight Floyd Mayweather.
Wait a second. Was Manny Pacquiao older or was Floyd older when they fought? I think Floyd was
older.
2-3 years older than him.
Overall,
so that doesn't count. I don't think that guy is older, man. He's not in his prime.
I think there is that element, but also if you look at their fight record, Manny Pacquiao was when you come to wear and tear. Do you understand what I mean by wear and tear? Like Tyson in his prime. after you had Tyson go through the whole rigmarole, his last fight, do you remember how that ended? He gave up on his stool. Mike Tyson. Why? It was the wear and tear. You get worn out, you can't do it anymore. There comes a point in your body, कितने आप मुक्के खा लोगे मुंह पे? आप कितना दफा, how many times are you going to do this? Do you know Anderson Silva?
I know that.
Anderson Silva. Him fighting Israel Adesanya. Do you think that was fair? It happened. It doesn't mean it was fair. Okay? But they were genuinely legit two legends that met. Okay? Going back to Mike Tyson, he was going through all sorts of mental issues. He fought, what's that guy's name, yaar? Evander Holyfield. Bit his ear off halfway. That guy was not mentally there. Okay? Manny Pacquiao, man, what an inspiration. From the slums of the Philippines to being a statesman. Okay? It's these kind of stories. मैं क्या चाह रहा हूँ?
What's the prime of a boxer and what's the prime of a mixed martial artist? I think from what I've heard, a boxer is at his prime when he's in his 30s or before 30s, 29, 28, and MMA fighters have more of experience. I think as they progress in their career, they have more experience with grappling. They have more experience with them blocking, them actually countering, them actually having this subconscious thing about the fight game.
यार पता क्या है? You're comparing two different spheres. ठीक है? On the one hand, you've got striking sports. Striking sports includes boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I'll even go far as to Taekwondo, although Taekwondo only really has one punch, but let's just add that there for the sake of adding it there. Okay? These are all striking sports. There's a lot of stamina required in striking sport. I mean, sorry, there's a lot of ongoing stamina. Like you're standing, you're moving. Grappling is a bit more, I mean, it's more, in my opinion, it's more intense. But you find older people getting into grappling. Because although it's taxing on your body, it's not taxing in the same way as striking. Striking, you can actually get punched in the face. Grappling is a bit more, it's a bit more endearing, so to speak, because you're manipulating somebody's body. You're not immediately grabbing them. They're not in immediate threat of being knocked out. You've got the chance to tap. There's a lot more going on. So grappling is more chess, and boxing. I mean, boxing and kickboxing, it's speed. Okay? And as you get older, as I was explaining with Anderson Silva, you lose the speed. Although there is old man strength. Have you heard of old man strength?
What's that?
You don't know?
No.
Yeah, old man strength is like you'd expect somebody to get weaker as they get older. But what happens with men, although they get slower, they still retain the strength. Okay? So they have unbelievable strength. Look at the world's strongest man. How many of them are in their 20s? Hardly anyone. They're in their 30s and stuff. No, a boxer, they say, after 25, 26, then you have the rare example. You know, what's that guy's name? George Foreman?
George Foreman.
The Foreman grill?
Yes, I know. Ali beat him.
Ali did beat him, yes.
And then he went in retirement and then he came after like 10 years. And
he was 46 or 48 and he won.
And he won.
So 46.
And he was like fat. And he was like a little chubby, but he had that strong man, old man strong.
Old man strength, old man strength. That's true. तो मैं सही कह रहा हूँ यार.
I wish I have that old man strength when I get older. What's his secret recipe for the old man strength?
No, it's common यार. मैं सही कह रहा हूँ. Anybody who trains, or even if they don't train, they retain that strength. Okay, so basically, what's the last thing that leaves a fighter? His strength. ठीक है ना? That's the last thing it leaves. His power. Mukka marna. He might be slow, apna power slow kar lega. Muhammad Ali, when he came out of jail, he wasn't the same dancing Muhammad Ali. But he still had his power. You know, power is the last thing that leaves you. I mean, when you look in MMA, look at Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem had so many fights, and towards like the tither end of his career, I mean, it was embarrassing, his losses. He was running away, you know, why? Because कितने दफा आप मुक्के खा लोगे वही बात है ना एक दफा दो दफा चले या मजा आ गया फिर you get scars like this or the broken nose and then you keep on going there's only so many times you're going to get punched in the face.
Your brain is like a watermelon and when you hit तो आपका brain hits your skull.
Look, there is CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, ठीक है? So as long as you're hydrated, पता है amateur boxing में पहले ना एक rule था कि आपने head guard पहनना है, but the head guard proved to be ineffective क्योंकि उसमें क्या होता है you sweat more and your water goes down. When your water goes down, your CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, it doesn't cushion the brain. So they ruled that from now on they don't need to have the head guard for this reason. If our body retains like all its normal water levels and all this stuff, it's actually designed to be very safe. The problem is the back of the head. Here, there's this really famous clip. I'll share it with you. One guy punched in anger. I can assume he punched him in the back of the head. That guy's paralyzed.
I've seen that. But there's this more interesting question that I think our audience want to hear. Is that have you ever gotten beaten? Like really bad?
Yeah.
Have you gotten knocked out? Tell us the story.
Yeah. I'll tell you the best story. Right? I was a bouncer in England. University में था ना, I used to work in nightclubs on the door for various reasons. And mainly to keep me going week to week. But you know how normal jobs, you look at the clock, you're like, yeah, I need to go home. This wasn't that kind of night. You could be listening to music, enjoying it, everyone's nice to you. I was an Asian bouncer in the middle of Margate. And London wasn't too bad, but Margate, and there weren't that many up in it. You get it? So being an Asian bouncer, they were very easy for people to pick on you. And I was fortunate enough to work in what was rated as Britain's roughest pub. Now, the story gets better, right? This was the pub, right, where the landlord, I'm not going to reveal who the landlord is, I'm going to tell you at the end, right? The landlord used to have a boxing ring at the bottom and said if two people fight,
just a second. We have a great friend of mine.
Hello. This pub, right, would have a boxing ring downstairs. And anybody who got into an altercation with each other, they'll be asked to go downstairs to settle their differences. And whoever wins has to buy the losing guy a pint. Okay, cool. So this club was owned by Andy Gerard, and Andy Gerard was a professional boxer. And he actually boxed Lennox Lewis in his prime. So I worked at that pub as a bouncer. and this was in Margate, and Margate is the whitest place. I mean, I know it's snowing in England now, but even in the summer, it's very rare to find anybody who's like a minority. So I was a 6'2" Pakistani bouncer working in the roughest pub of England. Where the owner is a boxer and he has a boxing ring downstairs. Now when I went there, the boxing ring was gone.
Settle our differences.
By this guy, man. What मैं क्या बताऊँ उसके बारे में? The guy is an excellent guy, really cool guy.
So what happened? What is the story of you getting beaten the shit?
You got beaten up? He looks you. Who the hell beat you up? Show me that guy.
So basically, right, he asked me when I got beat, when have I been knocked out. So this guy Andy Gerard, I used to work in his pub. Okay. You've got to bear in mind I was like 20, 21, 22.
Were you in the MMA thing back then?
I was in boxing.
And so you knew the uppercut and the knockout.
People now way back.
Yeah. As long as the CCTV didn't see it. But anyway, this guy, he was big and fat and he's bold. Kind of like what I am now with 4 hairs left. And anyway, I looked at him. I was like, you were a professional boxer, weren't you? He's like, yeah. I was like, I reckon I could have you. I reckon I could have you. And then he was just really confident, really like, all right, I'll tell you what, you train at Ramsgate Amateur Boxing Club, I'll see you there tomorrow. And you gotta imagine this big dude, really big, like he was 6'4", I'm 6'2". And he smokes and he drinks and he had, his belly was like a tortoise shell, it was solid, out. And I just remember getting in there and I was like, okay, this is going to be easy. Because I've never seen this guy run in my life. I was like, I'm sure I can do it. Anyway, right? I got him to the corner and I don't remember what happened. I just remember him going down and he caught me here. And I went against the rope and I didn't move. I started seeing stars. And then from that day on, right, I really respected old fighters. And I respected old man strength.
That's so
And that was like this job of being a bouncer, it was like, it was the best job in the world and it was also the worst job in the world. It was the best job in the world, actually on the door. When you're dealing with proper junglis, you're like somebody you can't get
No
it on.
knife fights, gun
Yeah,
fights.
I was blessed. I know people experienced that. I didn't. Okay? But you still have the occasional, like for example, say like there's 60 you guys, right? And there's only one of me on the door. Now if I wasn't this size, you would be inside. You wouldn't be outside.
Yeah.
No, bolo.
No, recently there's been a video. Rhythm Fest was on Saturday. There's a video of
ना बेइज्जती उसका.
भाई वो 12 के 16 लोग थे, वो बाउंसर एक था, उसको पड़ गया. And there's an entire video where he's running and they're beating the crap out of him and they're following him around the whole stage. और वो भाग रहे हैं, वो पीछे, और पाकिस्तानी से मतलब मुक्का यूं नहीं मारते, हम खोल के मारते हैं, चपेट मारते हैं.
वो जैसे YouTube में ऐड आता है ना 5 4 3 2 now skip. Bro, that was mismanagement. मैंने देखा है वो pure mismanagement. I think, you know, being a bouncer, like Pakistani bouncers, look, in England you have to go through conflict management. They teach you, like you spend 2 weeks, they'll teach you how to talk to someone. So say for example, I don't want to let Wali in. Oh man, you're wearing trainers. I'm sorry man, you know, I don't want to lose my job. He can be angry. My job is to not be angry. Whereas with what we discussed earlier, so say for example, I want to go in. Then you be calm with him. Yeah, Wali, you know, I'm paid to be here. It's management's decision. It's not mine. You learn all these things. Whereas in Pakistan, मैं देखता हूँ. हाँ, मैं देखता हूँ. हाँ, पापा, जी आ जाए. हाँ, Wali इधर ही है. अकेला है.
No anger management.
कभी-कभार आप बड़े भाई को भी फोन कर देते हैं.
अच्छा, कभी-कभार आप अपना बैलेंस चेक कर रहे हो. मैं अभी कॉल कर रहा हूँ FIA. हाँ, please, okay. हाँ, FIA is coming. You know, bro, Lahore is it's literally the city of dreams. ठीक है ना? They say that they come to England for freedom. Bro, there's no freedom in England, man, compared to Pakistan. आप गाड़ी रखोगे ना इंग्लैंड में, आपने उसकी टैक्स, उसकी MOT, अगर उसकी एक पहिया गंजा भी हो ना, तो आप उसको चला नहीं सकते. बहनचोद यहाँ पे गाड़ी है जिनकी विंडस्क्रीन ही नहीं है, वो सड़क पे चल रहे, गधा गाड़ी सड़क पे चल रहा है. यार फ्रीडम है भाई. यू हैव फ्रीडम हियर. आपके पास बाइक है, किसी के पास लाइसेंस है, सच बताओ. ट्रैफिक वाला रोकता है, 100 रुपए आपकी लाइसेंस है, ठीक है, वही आप जमा कर लो, आप चले जाओ. असल फ्रीडम
I
पाकिस्तान में.
have this amazing question for you. What if a fighter in your league stands up to you and says, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you tonight"?
It's happened.
Acha,
हाँ.
tell us the story.
Kick him out. Fuck you. You fucking welterweight.
He's not getting paid. He's not getting paid, but he can beat you. He still can give you a tough time.
Look, it's good to have dreams and aspirations, and you know, like, but when you come to an organizer, now this organizer can be 5 foot nothing. If this organizer doesn't want you there, and you're the biggest and baddest guy, you won't be there. ठीक है? You have this issue unique to Pakistan. You two have just had a fight. You guys fought really well. You made it all the way to the 5th round. It's draw. मतलब आपसे कहते हो, you think you've won. You think you've won. It goes to the referee.
Right.
What do you think happens in Pakistan? If he wins, his whole team and his khandan from the village are all gonna turn up. No, referee, theek nahi hai, no. And then you know, if I get him to win, all of a sudden his cousin who has like 10 Kalashnikovs are all gonna turn up. And these are actual problems. Why? Because
ये ऐसी तो अभी UFC में भी problems है ना, where some of the matches they're like, oh listen, this was not just a bad call, bad judgment. काफी दफा ये होते हैं, fighters should have won. It's very rare.
क्यों? Because there's a proper syllabus. आपको पता है आपकी point कब कम होगा. अब मैं foul करता हूँ, ठीक है? If I foul, the referee knows that he's gonna relay that foul to me. Yaar, don't do it again. Listen, don't do it again. 3rd time, he'll stop the fight. He'll take me to each referee, deduct 1 point. There's a proper system in place. He knows he's committing the foul. When you don't educate people, you don't educate the referees. Chalo, forget the fighter for a minute. He's in the heat of the moment. He can forget. He can be emotional. The referee, man, the referee doesn't know anything. I'll tell you an actual thing, right? One guy got a low blow. You know what low blow is? So basically, it was an accident. Guy had a cup on, right? And I made the mistake of just saying, "Get me any doctor." to be there because you have to have a doctor. Now this guy is just in pain on the ground. This doctor comes in like Rambo, like Sylvester Stallone. He takes out the injection, and the whole whoa! What are you gonna do with this injection?
What are you gonna do with this injection? He's like, I'm gonna put this in your butt.
And we said, no, don't do the injection. Guess what he does? He puts away the injection, takes out DP. Whoa! Bring me back the injection.
Bring back the injection.
No,
That's a good one.
These things happen, and we have to educate people. We have to make sure people know what's going on. Once you have education, and where's the education going to come from? The number of opportunities. अब एक event एक ही दफा साल में होता है, चाहे वो अच्छा हो, चाहे वो बुरा हो, वो एक ही है, ठीक है? जब हम बार-बार करेंगे ना, in Karachi, in Islamabad, in Peshawar, then more people are going to be attached to it. ठीक है? This event that we're doing, the main event. By the way, you're not going to release this until a week, ठीक है?
Inshallah.
This is the first event in Pakistan where there's going to be a main card with women. So far in Pakistan, women have fought, but no one's ever been the main. Okay? So my event's going to be the first one with females, the main card. And I was looking over there and I just remembered that fact. I forgot it too. Well, we have 35 fights.
Can I fight with a female girl? I can beat a girl. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that, especially if she's trained. I don't know, Wali.
I'm willing to take that bet. I'll take those chances. I'll take that chance. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
You put your money on the girl or on Wali?
Oh no! I've seen Wali. He hasn't seen the girl that I'm gonna bring.
You know, I'm gonna be the gentleman and I'm gonna let her win.
And she's gonna be the 120 kg woman that she is.
She's gonna smash her boy.
Yeah, 120 kg. That's the biggest woman in Pakistan. No, well, not the biggest. I've seen aunties in Gulberg bigger than that, but she's the biggest player. So
Is she fat or is she bulky?
Muscular or like?
Muscular.
Oh, is she on testosterone?
I haven't asked. I don't really want to.
Too scared to ask.
Whatever you do, you do you. No, there are some good women that fight. They're like there's a lawyer in Lahore. Sultana something. She's a lawyer by day and she's a
Fighter by night.
And we should promote it. That's the problem. We don't even promote motorcycles like for women, and we should be promoting this. MMA is a very good field for women. Do you remember Ronda Rousey?
She was in a hard.
How would you feel if the next Ronda Rousey, the bigger Ronda Rousey, came from Lahore?
Whoa.
How would that make you feel?
She's gonna whoop some ass.
I had to convince him, right? The camera wasn't on at the time. I literally was like, look man, you need to follow this story of how MMA happens. When you see where these fighters are coming from, this is, in some people's cases, this is the only way out of poverty. Okay? With all due respect, man. I mean, everybody has their own circumstances, everybody has their own future. But the politics that people play, like these federations in Pakistan, they're not federations. Okay? They're like Nigerian princes that send emails that want to give you an inheritance of $10 million and a hen. Okay? They don't exist. वो कहते हैं मैं आपको promote करूँगा. होता क्या है? आप मुझे 2 लाख दे दो, मैं तुमको ना या भेज दूँगा. This guy doesn't have 2 lakhs. Now let's say he has 2 lakhs. He finds 2 lakhs. The coach that's been coaching him, oh nahi, aapki coach. No, मैं जाऊँगा. I get a free trip. Do I get a free trip? I get a free hotel. He's paying for it. That's how the federations are in Pakistan.
That's very sad.
It's not. Well, actually, it was predictable. To be fair, you're giving somebody who's promised you to do something money, and then after the end of the year, you don't hold him accountable for that promise, and you give him more money again. Shit, I'd do it. They were like, hey man, hey Wali, what happened to that? What happened to that whole housing project? Yeah, I need more money. Oh, here you go, Wali. No worries, man. See you next year. There's no accountability. यार मुझे एक बात बताओ. इतने पैसे फेडरेशन को मिलते हैं. 6th most populous country in the world, 200 million inhabitants. Not one single UFC fighter. Chalo, we've addressed the UFC issue. One FC, no representation. Olympics, what were we? We got the 5th. That was our best. The javelin thrower. He was the best guy. ठीक है. What investment do we do in sports?
Oh, there's videos circulating around about martial artist who world champion. He went to like various tournaments, and उसके पास funding नहीं है, वो कि mobiles बेच रहे हैं. There's another video, वो boy he's seeking funding और उसका वो पराठे बनाता है.
Oh, he got it.
He got it? Okay, that's great. मतलब वो पराठे बना रहा था यार. उसने वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप के लिए कहीं जाना था और वो पराठा उसकी पराठे की दुकान है. I was like यार बेचारा, that's great.
Bhai, he got it.
We want to make videos on these people like the 120 kg woman, like the lawyer woman, like all of these guys. मतलब कि there's such an inspiration to watch. If people, normal everyday people are watching people like this, okay, they're struggling, they're making their ends meet, selling phones, becoming a lawyer, then fighting.
I wouldn't. Sorry to interrupt you. I wouldn't like. Look, at the end of the day, I told you it's like face saving. Like if you say, "Hey man, I want to record your poverty," that's probably not the best route. But if he wins something big, like for example, he goes to Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi AJP. Why is AJP coming here? They want to find the best fighters. Okay. What is Fight Force gonna do? When somebody is looking for a fighter in a certain weight category, including myself, sometimes when we arrange fights, somebody cancels. Now what do? हम लोग ने उसकी photo लगा दिया है. The crowd is expecting him. We're finding a fighter last minute. ठीक है? There's always a need for a fighter. जब आपके पास Fight Force जैसे platforms होंगे, जहाँ एक खिलाड़ी खेल सकता है बार-बार. When I play, my rules is really bad. But I do try. So when somebody has a platform where they can continuously perform, continuously compete, they get better. So until you have these platforms available, it doesn't have to be just Fight Force. Somebody else can have one, somebody else can have. Then these players, they will have a chance to get there. This kickboxer that you're talking about, he has the love of the federation to fall back on. The same federation. Don't even get me started on the stuff I know about federations. Suffice to say, if he was in any other country other than Pakistan, he would be in the top ranks of any division. Because you have Liari. Are you familiar with Liari?
Liari is like Karachi ki jagah.
Karachi. There is adverse poverty, and some of the best footballers are coming from there. And I guarantee you're going to find the top boxers, the top fighters from there. Having said that, we need these platforms. This is why I want you to actually follow the event. See people from different walks of life. You've got people from Quetta, you've got people from Multan, and the only thing uniting them is that one cage, that one MMA cage. We need to get rid of this discrimination where people think that women can't make it. Women can be really, when I'm going to put him in the ring with 120 kg. In fact, I might even get the 80 kg one first.
Same weight class. I think she'll still take you.
Out of respect, I'm not going to touch her. I'm not going to beat her. Otherwise, I would.
But the feeling won't be mutual. She's going to kill you.
She's got no respect.
I have this image of Wali being choked out by him.
Please.
Tap him out.
Corner McTapper. After he tapped to Khabib. I won't tap. I would lose my conscious, get knocked out, because in front of my hometown, I can't lose. I got my boys watching me. I can't.
Wali's not gonna tap out.
I'm not gonna tap. You better choke me out, break my arm, break my leg. I'm not gonna tap out.
I don't know. I feel like he's gonna get knocked out. She's big.
I think we should set this up.
Dude, it's done. I know when I'm gonna do it. I know how I'm gonna get
Give
Wali.
him time to train.
Oh, I'm not giving him any time. I'm just gonna randomly call him. I'll say, listen, you know what?
She's here.
Dwayne Johnson is standing outside and he wants to be on your podcast. You're gonna have to come downstairs. Bring a gum guard just in case.
Good. That's good. That's gonna be the biggest fight.
We'll sell it to the WWE.
Yeah.
We're gonna make history.
So that they can ask us for a refund. Dude, I reckon him and another podcaster. You know what? That should be the fight of December. Get a podcaster, similar weight, similar height, and one can train in one club and the other can train with the other club. Because the main event is 2 girls, right? So those 2 girls are in 2 different clubs. So we want to follow their journey to the main event because it's the first one in Pakistan. Yeah? So why don't we put you with one person?
Another, yeah. and then you guys train. We record that like Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Man, he's making millions. Right, by doing what? He's celebrity boxing.
Yeah.
It's the new
Ladies
thing.
and gentlemen, I have this big YouTube career. I'm very big on YouTube, and now I'm gonna enter the fight game.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be the celebrity fighter, and this is gonna
Yes.
be big. Remember
People
this
want to
moment.
see you getting your ass kicked. They want podcasters, influencers, actors getting hit.
There might be few people that just want Wali to be.
Some of my enemies.
लगता है मान तो definitely कुछ नहीं.
You bring my wife against me, she's gonna beat the shit out of me.
Honestly, I reckon we should do it, man. I reckon we should. I'm so up for this idea. Yeah,
It's a good idea.
Yeah. You know, a man and a woman have fought in a MMA cage.
And who won?
Well, obviously the guy did. I mean, in your case, it wouldn't-
obviously the guy win.
I know. It's MMA now, and they were both trained. That was the key element. They got like trained or untrained or they were both like similarly like trained. You know, so it was it's on YouTube and it's on Facebook. I'll send you a link to it. It's a very interesting.
There was even a battle of the sexes tennis match. They did the same thing, and you know the man won, but then the next time they had it, the lady won. I don't remember her name.
So you think I'm not trained? I have this training, like you have a knife in front of me and I'll do like this flip, and I got the knife now. Then I have this training that you have the gun on me and I do this flip and I have the gun. You think I cannot beat this chick? Have you seen these videos? Do you think that these videos are real? If an actual
I
person
see
has
an
a knife.
Xbox controller over there. I think we should demonstrate. Live demonstration on our podcast. Asibo को remote देता है मुझे जरा.
I'm going to do this flip.
ये वाला जरा फेंकी.
Wali.
Wali, I would want to see that. I want to see that. No, you pretend this is a gun. Pretend this is a gun.
I don't know.
Take it from you, bro.
I thought he was gonna show me how he did it on the Xbox. That was more realistic. So I press XA. Okay, so here's the gun.
You're going to do it in slow motion whenever.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so
Okay.
Bring out the gun in slow motion. Now I have got this super crazy.
bang.
Whoa!
I've got the gun.
What is this thing? Fist pound! He got it!
कॉल की किससे कॉल कर मैं कॉल बैक करता हूँ.
We're very busy at the office. हर वक्त calls आ रही होती हैं. बंद कर
I think that's Jake Paul's agent.
It's probably Jake Paul's agent.
The guy who I'm collaborating with, like, so Fight Force is my brand. So we're working with One Jab, okay? And this guy has also been kicked out of this elusive federation bullshit, okay? So now Fight Force is doing this event in collaboration with them. 36 fighters. The first ever fight card in Pakistan where it's going to be a female fight on the main event. And this is many new beginnings. It's a new beginning for One Jab. It's a new beginning for Fight Force. And it's a new beginning for combat sports in MMA because we are starting with a female main card. And our aim is very simple. The pandemic has gone through. We are going to try giving back to those members in society who were there putting their lives on the line for us. That includes food panda workers, that includes Uber drivers, that includes traffic police, that includes women nurses in hospital. And we are hoping that for every event that we do, we make sure that they are in our VIP section and we give them something back as our way of saying thank you. Not just Fight Force, but it's like from Pakistan. Because ultimately what we want to do, we want to improve the outlook of sports in Pakistan. And I feel like now, you know, with the football league that's coming into Pakistan, so now there's going to be a lot of investment, and through us we're providing sports marketing solutions to companies to work with us and also promote sports.
That's like huge. We need people like you, bro. We need more people like you in this country. And I personally, I'm also now involved in this event, and I hope and I wish all the best, and everything's going to go according to your plan, and it's going to be a big thing. And the women thing is like, this is like very good for the event. Why do I think that? Because the world is turning to this multicultural, multiracial, and men and women are equal, and everyone can fight, and everyone has an equal opportunity, and that is very good for your brand.
I think definitely we need, and we should assist more participation from females. And I think children, they shouldn't have to wait. You know, I think that when they're young, they should get involved into combat sports. It's good for our bodies. Our Prophet used to be very active in combat sports. There used to be it's called Sunnat Kushti. It's the closest thing we have to Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is the closest thing we have to it. So definitely, I think combat sports is important for us as a society, and I think it teaches us discipline. So definitely, yeah.
That's good. So tell me more about the event. Where can the people find tickets? What's the name of your event? Where can you reach?
All our tickets. This is the first ever combat sports event. Everything will be done on our app, Fight Force. You'll find it on Play Store. You'll find it on iPhone, the App Store and iPhone. Everything. When you apply for your ticket, it's going to be free, obviously, and we're going to check your CNIC. Make sure you're vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, you're cool. We have a VIP area. We've got some private areas for families. We've got if somebody wants to have a corporate event and they have a staff night out, we can accommodate all that. Everything will be done through our app. So it's the first time that a combat sports event is going into this level. Fight Force is not about following the trend, it's about making better trends. And hopefully, inshallah, we hope that when we have more events, we'll have more fighters and more opportunities for Pakistanis to be proud of Pakistan when a Pakistani fighter goes and wins an international accolade. Inshallah, yeah.
Inshallah. That's like a 2-year goal, 3-year goal.
Brother, if it has to happen, it can happen in 6 months. But realistically, 3-4 years.
When's Khabib gonna come to Pakistan?
There are so many people involved in this. Me as well. We are trying to arrange it, and basically it's first past the post. Jiska ho gaya, just whoever gets their agreement through first, they will get it done. Khabib in one of his interviews stated that he's already in talks with somebody to come to Pakistan. Yeah, so I think whoever gets it is going to be a big win for them. It's a big plus point.
I hope you get Khabib.
But I do, and I hope I get him to this podcast.
Why don't you get Hezbollah, the mini Khabib?
Yeah, Hezbollah is a disabled guy, right?
The mini guy.
And he's got a fight coming up with the other mini guy.
Yes.
And you know what, man? I wish... I think anybody from UFC, I think there's only been like 2 or 3 UFC fighters. They came through Bashir Ahmed. Bashir Ahmed got them here. No one else. And you know what? If Khabib does come, it would be amazing. It would be amazing because people here look up to him.
Khabib, we're waiting for you. Come on, man. Enough of the waiting.
Man, Khabib has a fighting league, Eagle Fighting Championship. So there are many ways. I mean, he'll definitely want to come to Pakistan. There's a lot of MMA fans here. It'll be a new audience for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year he's going to be here, 2022, depending on the flight situation and all that stuff with the pandemic.
Inshallah. And what do you think about Islam?
What do I think? I think Islam is...
Islam, my chief.
I dodged a bullet there.
I thought so. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Islam something.
Yeah, I think it's someone that trains at his camp, is related to him. Yeah, there's 2 fighters. There's the Islam and the other guy. I'm forgetting his name. They're both very good. I don't really think... I think Khabib's step back was very good. I think it was a very good decision. Because obviously there's a psychological effect that none of us can ever understand. He lost his father. His father was his main support. And when him fighting Gaethje, losing his father, I think was... although it was an easy fight for Khabib because of all the circumstances, I think the fact that he left and the fact that he's not going to come back. But the thing is, in combat sports, you tend to see people do resign and they retire, but they do come back. But with Khabib, I feel like that's not really going to happen. And if it does happen, it won't be in MMA. I think he might come back into Sambo or, something like this later on in life. But I think, look at Floyd Mayweather. Look how many times he's retired. People do retire in combat sports.